What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my full review of Alien Covenant. So, spoilers abound. I'm not going to restrain, I'm just going to say whatever comes to mind. So, if you haven't seen it yet, don't watch this video. Go watch my spoiler-free one. But honestly, my head was all jumbled when I did that one. And, I don't know. I'm not too happy with it. But I left it up anyway. Alright, let's get into it. Spoiler-filled review of Alien Covenant. Alright. First off, let me say, I like the movie. Okay? I had fun, which is what a movie like this is designed to do. It had me on the edge of my seat at times. It made me jump once or twice. It had some disgusting horror stuff. The alien was, scary. The new aliens, the neomorphs, I think they're called, were creepy. And David was creepy. And I liked it. I don't understand why I'm seeing so much negativity and hate from this movie. Now, I'm not seeing a lot of it from actual critics. I'm seeing most of the hate from people like me, like audience members who do YouTube or write blogs. And they're just shitting all over this movie, and I don't get it. I do agree it has flaws, and we will talk about that in a minute. All right, so let's talk about what I liked and what I thought worked, right? So the action was good. I thought there was enough of it. This time there was machine guns and stuff. It wasn't just like one flamethrower on the ship, So we got to see a little bit of action, and plus we got, basically 3 different types of alien creatures with the neomorphs and the xenomorph and the face hugger. I mean, so there was a lot of that, and we got at least one really good scene with each one of those creatures. So that's something to me. And the action scenes were long. Look, I have a complaint a lot with action movies. That the action scenes aren't long enough. But this one, the action scenes were long enough to satisfy you. And not so long that you're like, oh God, all right. Moving along now, So, I like that. I thought it was really good. The CGI at times was okay to me, and at times it felt like cartoon. So that's kind of like a like and dislike. Well, it's not really much of a like, because I've seen so much good CGI out there. Look at the Planet of the Apes. There's not one time in the new Planet of the Apes movies you're looking at it and you're going, well, that looks like CGI. You're either going, wow, these apes are crazy, or you're going, that is some amazing digital work to make those apes come to life. The Jungle Book is another example. Most of the Marvel stuff. Marvel has very, very few CGI problems in it. And I feel like if you're going to do that, which is okay, you need it sometimes. This movie's action needed CGI. You couldn't do it all practical. But I don't think they did any practical. I heard they were going to do a mix, and I was excited about that. But nothing really came across as practical to me. But I could be totally wrong, and it could be a testament to how good the CGI was if it all blended together that well. You know what I mean? But there were certain scenes with the CGI where it felt wonky and it felt cartoony. But I'm talking about the good stuff right now, so let me move on. Now, people are complaining about the plot, and I don't agree with you at all. I love the plot. Listen, how can you not like the idea that Ridley Scott is going for here? He's going for this larger idea of creation. Right? Look, Alien and Aliens were fine films, okay? But they don't have a plot. There's a bunch of people fighting these aliens and a crazy android here and there. There's no real plot to them. I mean, they tried that in a couple, and they kind of fail with it. Aliens 2 had a somewhat of a plot that was good, where Paul Reiser's character working for Weyland is really trying to, take one of these things back, whatever. So they tried with that one, and it worked in that one. But on the other ones, they tried to, and, not so good of a result. But Alien 1 doesn't have a plot at all, really, other than just survival horror. And what he's doing now with the Prometheus and now Alien Covenant, he's building this larger idea of creation. The engineers create us, right? Then we create androids, David, artificial life. And then David creates the xenomorph. I love it. And then, and then there's the cycle of death that goes with it too, where the engineers, create humans and then want to kill humans, and the humans create David, who kills the engineers and then kind of wants to kill humans. And then you have David creating the xenomorphs that want to kill humans or any living thing, anything that's not an android, right? And I think that's going to change in the next step of evolution, though. I am going to do a separate video about where I think the next step is going with David's work. So those of you who are into this stuff, you can look out for that video. I'll get it up there soon. So this plot of creation and how David is playing God, the way Wayland was playing God, the way the engineers were playing God, this is really deep stuff for us. A movie that started as nothing more than a survival horror to evolve into this bigger, larger idea of creation and gods and what it takes to be a god, or what it means to be a god, and all these ideas of just creation and life. How do you not love this? How do people love Ancient Aliens but don't love this idea? I love it. I think they're really doing a good job. Now, with that being said, with this large idea and all of this that Ridley Scott and the writers have, or this big idea in their heads, that's an amazing idea, it's hard to fit that idea and all of the alien action horror stuff that we need from that franchise too. It's hard to fit it all into a 2-hour movie. These movies would benefit from being 2.5 hours. That would give us, and not of more action, not of more horror, there have that, of a little bit more exposition to help the broader audience who isn't a crazy person like me that watches movies 100 times or just isn't eagle-eyed, people don't, the average person doesn't do that and watch movies a bunch of times or pay super close attention. So sometimes you have to service the audience and give them a little bit of exposition to explain what's going on. And I think, I'm not saying that definite, but I think that's a big problem with people's problem with this movie, is that they didn't get, or they don't get, what Ridley's doing. Now, I can't say everybody. Yes, I'm sure there's some people out there that just hate that idea of David creating the xenomorphs, or they just hate the idea of turning it into a larger mythos of creation and all that. Okay, to each his own. I'm not saying everybody, but I think a big part of the people who don't like the plot of the movie, or they don't really understand, I don't think, what's going on and how it's working. And if you really paid attention to like David's lab, you see failed experiments, bones of other creatures, fossilized creatures, all these different things that David's been playing with in the 10 years he's been there with the black goo. And I just think it works, and I love it. And I'm rewatching the later Alien movies, and I'm not saying it makes them a ton more enjoyable, but it does to me now, knowing that the xenomorph is essentially created by the humans, if you think about it. Like, I love that. And I always was intrigued with Ash. And that's one thing I liked better about Alien that I didn't like about Aliens, which I feel in some ways Aliens is a better all-around movie than Alien. I'm going to do videos on all the Aliens too, so look out for those also. Right, so, but one thing that I think they did better in the first one was having the android be a villain too. So they're not only dealing, Sigourney Weaver's not only dealing with this crazy alien on the ship, Ash goes nuts and tries to kill her. And I love that. And, it was nice that it wasn't predictable when Bishop was good. You know what I mean? If Bishop went bad too, would have been a little predictable. So I get it. It's not really a flaw of Alien 2, but I love Aliens. But I love that idea in Alien that Ripley is going up against, she's arguing with her crew members first, and then she's going up against a xenomorph, and then she's going up against Ash, and then the xenomorph and Ash. I love that. So, to have the androids come back into it in such a big way works for me. Because if you think about it, the androids play a big part in Alien and Aliens. Remember, Sigourney Weaver is so mistrustful of Bishop because of her experiences with Ash. So I absolutely love it. Now, I do see some continuity problems in certain things. Like, why was Ash hidden as an android from the crew, whereas David and Walter aren't, and Bishop isn't either? So I don't really get that, why Ash was hidden, but I guess because he had a secret agenda on the ship, I don't really get that, and I don't think we'll ever get an explanation, so no biggie. But I don't get it. I like the plot, and one thing I wanted to say about, I see people complaining about the plot, the David stuff. Oh, well, how did he create the eggs and all that? Well, I'm going to do a whole video about this. If you look, Shaw's dissected, and he keeps calling her the mother, of his children, whatever. So this was David's way of reproducing. He took her eggs, probably mixed it up with some new concoction he made out of the black goo and the engineered DNA, and we see the black goo mutates whatever it is. It's like a parasite in a way, right? It takes its host and it changes it and mutates it to something else. When, that's one of the properties of the black goo in small doses. Large doses, it seems to destroy the body. So he obviously, not even probably, he took the egg, mixed it with this concoction, the black goo, whatever, and they mutated into those big giant eggs you see David has. And the reason why they're different is because those are the original eggs not laid by a queen. Those are the eggs that the black goo created, that David mutated with the black goo. They're what's her name? Elizabeth Shaw's actual eggs, okay? And, like I said, you see experiments, failed ones, blueprints, drawings, all these different things. So you know that David has been working it and playing with it and tweaking his formula. Because you see, he talks about bugs and different species that were mutated by the black goo. And that's why the xenomorphs are insect-like, because he took stuff from these insects. And they're human-like because he took stuff from humans and engineers who have similar DNA. And I personally think there's some of David in there too. And that's why there's acid. Well, the acid blood is there from the black goo, so that can't be from David. But I do think eventually some of David will go into it, because if you paid attention to the xenomorph, it looks different from the xenomorph in the later movies. The later movie xenomorph looks more mechanical in ways, like it's got almost armor, whereas this xenomorph in this movie looked a little naked, more organic, less mechanical. And I think that's because the next step in evolution, like I said, I'm going to do a video on this, is going to be David somehow putting himself into the xenomorph formula also. Now, I thought everything else was good, right? The action, the acting, the dialogue, the script, everything was good. Yes, it's got people that are supposed to be somewhat smart doing bad things. It's not as bad as Prometheus, because these guys aren't all scientists. Prometheus is kind of unexcusable with the whole scene with the biologist touching the snake that was obviously angry like a cobra. That was stupid and beyond where I can forgive it, okay? But these people, yes, the captain did a stupid thing. The captain was the only unforgivable stupid act in the movie, when he leans over the egg. When it opens up, you don't lean over it, okay? But look, every movie we watch has this. This is what drives plot for 90% of, maybe not 90, 70% of stories, is the choices people make. And sometimes they're stupid choices that don't make sense to us. But we're not in their shoes either. So you don't know how you'd react with adrenaline and all that stuff, or the wonderment of a new species, a new creature. You don't know what you would do. And, honestly, when we discover stuff here on Earth in real life, what do when we find a new species or a new anything? The first thing we do is we go poking at it and trying to examine it and stuff, right? So it's not that far-fetched anyway, these actions. You don't know what every individual would do in a certain situation. So that one is forgivable to me. Now, I don't want to make this too much longer. So quickly, the things that are unforgivable for me about this film. no character development whatsoever. I don't care what happens to these characters, and I should. I get that David was the main character of the film, and I like that. I think Fassbender is awesome. I think the character of David is awesome. His motivations, everything, fantastic in my opinion. But as a human being, I need a human to connect with. And they tried with Daniels and Tennessee, but not hard enough. And those characters had potential to be characters you cared about and you liked and you wanted to see win. But in the end of the film, because they didn't have enough time to give us these characters and unfold these characters, which, like I said, 20 minutes, a half an hour of more screen time, you could have got more exposition from David, so people would have understood him better, and then you could have had more character growth for these characters, so we cared, and we wanted to root for them and see them win. Look, we want to root for Ripley. We want to see her win because you see her grow during the movie. She has an arc. These characters really don't. And that's my biggest complaint with this film. But the good points outweigh the bad, in my opinion. The CGI was definitely a little wonky at times. Felt a little cartoony. I'll agree with that totally. And I really didn't get a sense of practical from a lot of the creatures. I will make a huge complaint about the Neomorph. It just doesn't make sense, like, biologically. You'll look at the Neomorph and it's pretty creepy and scary. No face at all. Like, it's weird. It's like Slender Man in a way. And I like that. But then out of nowhere, no slit, no hole, no nothing. Out of nowhere, this big giant mouth opens from the middle. Doesn't make sense. I hated that. Hated it. At least the mouth, maybe I didn't notice it, but I saw the movie twice, so I doubt I didn't notice. But if the mouth opened from under the chin, that would have been cool. If there was a little slit in the face or a little tiny like hole or dimple or something, would have made sense. None of that. Smooth, flat, nothing there. And then all of a sudden this big huge mouth. I didn't like that at all. That to me felt like lazy CGI or rushed CGI or just not putting enough thought into detail. And if you're going to have CGI, it needs to be detailed. If it's not detailed, it's going to suck. Look at all the best CGI out there. All the stuff that really works, it's detailed. That's why. It's down to the detail. So yeah, the CGI. And my second biggest complaint, other than the character development, was the stupid scene with the Xenomorph popping out of the chest and then David going like this and then the Xenomorph copying him going like that. I thought that was retarded. Yes, the Xenomorphs exhibit intelligence. Yes, they do. They're actually very smart creatures if you look at their behavior throughout the movies. But not to the point where they're going to mimic you or copy you, or even if you're an android and not food to them. I hated it. I hated that part too. So the things I didn't like, I really hated. Those three things. I really hated them. But the rest of the movie, I had fun. I enjoyed it. And I thought the addition to the mythos was perfect and amazing. And I liked the ending. Now, a lot of the twists in this movie you see coming, but they still work to me. Even that one at the end where it's not really Walter, it's David. That twist still worked, even though I saw it coming a mile away. Now, one thing that really sucks about this movie is that to really understand it the way I do, you kind of got to watch all the promotional stuff. I don't mean the trailers, because I don't even watch that garbage anymore. There was The Crossing. It was like a short. It gives you more insight into the characters. Not enough. They still would have needed to add more. But if that was added in the movie or just before it, that would have helped with the characters. So the Crossing and The Last Supper. The Crossing was actually the one that dealt with David. And that was good because it explained more about David, which the film needed, in my opinion. Even though I got it, I understand why people didn't. And the Last Supper gave us character development, which it still needed more, but at least we understood a little bit more about the characters. And to me, those two things were wasted. Even if you weren't going to add them to the movie, show them right before it. Cut out one of those stupid trailers that we've all seen probably 1,000 times and put those two things in there. That's all. I don't know. Yeah, so look, all in all, I liked it. I had fun. I thought the plot was good. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a good addition to the Alien franchise. Is it the best movie ever? No. But none of the Alien movies are the best movie ever. Yes, Alien and Aliens are two of the best sci-fi horror or sci-fi action ever. Yes. But overall movies, no, they're not cinematic masterpieces. They're good films. And this is another one to me, another good film. You can look at plot. Most of the things that you would call plot holes, I'm going to do a separate video about that, aren't really plot holes if you pay attention. There may be a few. But yeah, that's it for this one. Sound off down below. Let me know what you thought about Alien Covenant. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Let me know what you liked and didn't like. Anything at all about Alien Covenant or the Alien franchise, sound off down below. I'm good with getting back at my comments, so definitely leave a comment because we can definitely get to a good discussion about it. And I'm a reasonable guy. I try and look at things from all angles of the spectrum. Yeah, so that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Always appreciate it. I know it was a long one. I hope you stayed to the end. And look at the channel for more Alien content because I'm going to do a bunch more stuff revolving Alien Covenant and the other Alien movies. Thanks again. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.